So, hi guys. Hello. This is, it's like right now you're concluding the whole conference. So just have a little bit of excitement that finally, I don't know whether it's excitement or sadness that it's over. But yeah, it's interesting guys decided to show up for this talk. And I think it will be interesting. So let me make it worth your time. So my name is Tamre. I am currently an engineering manager at Mondo, and I manage a team of, I think we are 7 amazing engineers. And in that team, over the last couple of years that I've been an engineering manager, there are some certain things that I've learned that I felt like it would be an interesting thing to sort of like share my experiences with you guys. And one of the things within my team is that it's the most diverse team in the entire organization, within the tech team and within the entire organization. And these are some of the lessons that I'm just gonna share so that all of us can get to like learn something. So first of all this is not a drinks talk. So just to set expectations, anyone who came today thinking, so droidcon decided to teach us how to do cocktails and mocktails. Sorry to disappoint you, this is not a talk about drinks at all. But these are the things we want to talk about. We want to talk about mocktails. Yes, I know it's a contradictory statement, but we'll talk about mocktails. Then we'll talk about cocktails. And then we'll also cover balance. And so I have a question for us. How many of us have ever had a mocktail? Okay. How many of us have ever had a cocktail? Okay, I'm seeing the same hands up. Okay. So which one do you prefer? How many of us prefer a cocktail? How many of us prefer a mocktail? Okay, interesting. How many of us it's both? Okay. How many of us is it depends? No, it depends. There's sometimes I prefer a mocktail, there's sometimes I prefer a cocktail. So it's all of them go, right? Okay, cool. And if you think about mocktails, let's start with mocktails and then we'll talk about cocktails afterwards, right? So if you think about like a mocktail, right? What it is essentially is it's an non-alcoholic drink, and most of the time it consists of, it's a mixture of fruit juices or other soft drinks. In any way, you can't have a mocktail if you do not have something to do with the fruit there. Whether the fruit is fresh fruit juice, or it's from a bottle, or it's from a packet, it doesn't matter. Part of it is that you'd always have this mix. Now, the other thing that some of my friends call it whenever we go and hang out with them and they're getting, like it's drinking time, they say that, hey man, why are you spending a lot of money on some fancy non-alcoholic drinks? And I'm like, yeah, well, this is something that I like to do. And this is the image, these are the images, right? Trust you me, I am not being paid to try and trick you guys into the next section, which is like guys going to network. But this is probably types of mocktails that you'd see. How many can identify either of them there by name? Let's see the diehards. Okay. I'm seeing some people are raising their hands like, yeah, I can see some that I actually take. Okay. So those are mocktails. But then let's zero it down to like a team, right? So what is a mocktail in terms of a team? So according to me, I define these are teams that are very homologous. That is, we think in a certain way, we are all good, and there's not that much diverse of opinion. Or if it's there, it's not being voiced out by everyone. And most of the time, these are usually teams that are either growing, they are young teams, are the ones that have actually not by age, but they have just recently been constituted. And in these growing teams, right, you have one of these things which is like, okay, but what is the problem with this? We think it's nice. We are all thinking in the same direction. We all are in agreement. There's no conflict. No one has a difference of opinion. We are all good. It's perfect, right? The problem is everyone is too nice. We are all too nice. There is being nice, but then there's being too nice. And by that is when someone says something, yes, I'm okay with that. But then later on, they might have a difference of opinion, but they're all too nice with everyone. The other thing is that they're very avoidant. Where they're avoidant is because I do not want to rock the boat. so as they say. So this is, I like the way everything is going. I feel like if I speak out my mind, we might disrupt the whatever harmony that we have within the exact team. The other bit is that they don't give feedback. And by feedback, I mean feedback to each other, and even feedback like in general. So this is where if you ask like, what do you think about X, Y, Z? It's like everything is perfect. There's nothing that can be changed. We are all good. Change is permanent. Things need to improve, right? Then there's usually a lack of ownership. Why is there a lack of ownership? It's because everyone within the team feels like, well, yeah, this person owns it. All of us are going to work on this project, on this specific task. It's not like one person is technically in charge of it, or like when you use the RACI metrics, there's someone who's going to be responsible for this thing. But then in this case, there's no one who wants to take ownership of this. And by extension, you know, when you start talking about ownership, it goes all the way to accountability and all the T's that you might know. And then cocktails. So some of us raise their hands and say they've had cocktails. So, of course, if I show you that image, which is the same image I showed earlier, and I tell you these are cocktails, how many would oppose me? No one, right? Because they sort of like look the same. Exactly. But what's the difference between a cocktail and a mocktail? There's usually a spirit or spirits that have been mixed together with other ingredients. And they say other ingredients because you could have fresh juice, you could have cream, even there. We were having like this birthday of one of our colleagues in the office, and we went to this place, and I even saw an extra one. They put, I don't know the name, so they put pepper. They swipe it across the glass. And it's really like supposed to create this very strong effect when you taste it, right? So this is in Berlin, by the way, just so that we are sure, we are clear, right? So what's the difference then? It's like you have the same mocktail, but the only ingredient that you add is that you've added these spirits or alcoholic content to the same drink, so that you sort of like have this pop effect, or you have this punching effect, and you have an after effect after you drink the specific drink, right? Because if you take a mocktail, do you always have a hangover when you take a mocktail? Who's ever had a hangover when they took a mocktail? Okay, I was waiting for someone's hand to be up, then I'd be like, someone lied to you. The thing is, like, also there's more flavors, the different effects when now you move to the world of cocktails, different things that they can mix there. And in an ideal state, anything goes provided we are not breaking the law in this case. And the law here depends on where exactly you are in the entire world. So, can be given anything and it's fine, and you take it and it's all good. Now, all these flavors are good. Why? They create these effects. Now, let's look at teams now, right? So how would you define that this is a team that is more or less like a cocktail team? One is everyone is strongly opinionated. Remember the effects? And by strongly opinionated, this one usually means that if you ask a question, we need to set up a new, I don't know, we want to create a new feature within the Android app. And you'd have 7, 8, 9, 10 different ways in which you could do the same thing. And sometimes 90% of the time, there's no alignment. No one wants to give in to their opinion. Why? If you say this, the other person's like, yeah, but you can do it this other way. Your way is not right because of this. It's not that system of let's disagree, but then let's commit. The other bit is there's usually a lot of unresolved conflict. I don't know how many of you have ever joined a team and then you felt like, whoa, this person and that other person have something that they've never sorted out before. And it's like an underlying thing. Everyone is sweeping issues under the carpet. And it's usually a team of extremes. Extreme opinion, extreme, like if I need to give you feedback, I will tell it to you. I'll not structure my thoughts very well before I tell you. 90% of the time, someone will come and tell you like, yeah, you're doing this and this and this wrong. And they're usually like easy for us to, they're usually at this tipping point of toxicity. They're either toxic or they're not yet toxic, but they're about to head there. Like if you give it a couple of months, they would easily twist to be toxic. Now, why should you care? Why should you care about mocktails and cocktails? So the first thing is this topic that we all throw around and we say like, yeah, this thing is toxic, this other thing is not toxic. But the thing that you come and realize that when you talk about toxicity, there is a difference between how different people perceive what is toxic and what is not toxic. Okay? And by this case, you'll find that there are people who look at something that is happening and say, hey, I am really affected by this. Because when you look at what toxicity is at the root cause of it, you're actually talking about how is this specific situation actually affecting me as an individual to a point where I can't make any change. I can't make any moves because I am actually deeply affected by this. And that's where now you start to know that, hey, we are getting to this point of toxicity. The other bit is microaggression. And microaggression is very interesting, is that I'm not being aggressive towards you, but I'm just subtly putting it. I like what some of my friends back home usually say. It's like you're at this point of, it's like water. You're boiling it, it's not yet boiled, but it's at that point where if you've ever boiled water in a jug or in an open, let's say like pot or something like that, you see it's like it started to boil and you're wondering, okay, it's almost there, but it's not yet there. And these acts of microaggression, what is it? These are usually like, it could be a comment, it could be an action that is very subtle. It's very like under there, most of the time it goes unnoticed, it can be done unconsciously, or even unintentionally, And if you think about it, it usually expresses some level of prejudice towards a number of a marginalized group. Now, I really need to emphasize that whenever we talk about this, we are not only talking about race, because that's where everyone starts to think, let's get it out there. Like, we're not talking about race here. Stereotypes. I can give you a good example, because someone dresses up in a suit and comes to work. As a tech person, you're like, this person is not technical enough. Why? Because they wear suits. Like, why is he wearing suits? If you're a techie, you should wear t-shirts. Your laptop should have what? 1,000,001 stickers? That's a developer. Are you seeing how old the stickers are on the laptop? They know what they're saying. Okay, that's fine. Or could also be a question of age. Because this person looks young, there's no way this person can be a senior. Another thing is, one of my friends was here and was talking about some of the things she's experienced. Tasks are being given out, or people are picking tasks in a team. But because there's a lady in the team, it's like, yeah, are we really sure she can handle that topic? It's really complex. And if she says she wants to pick it, you ask again, are you sure you can do it? Are you sure you'll be able to deliver? There's another bit of interrupting some people. So this is where you find yourself, you're in a group and people are talking, one person talks, you don't interrupt, second person is talking, third person, fourth person. But there's always that one person who, as they start to talk, you already know what they're going to say, and you actually disrupt them. You're like, no, but you're wrong. They literally just say 2 sentences, 2 words or 3 words. It's like, you're wrong. And I actually say some people, because it's not that you interrupt everyone, but it's some. Most of the time is when you're talking. There's another one for like ignoring them. There's one where you actually don't see someone. When I say ignoring, I don't mean once. I mean, this is like a repetitive behavior where you find yourself, I'll come and greet this person, or these 4 or 5 people, but there's always that 1, 2, 3 people that we don't say hi to in the office, right? Why don't we say hi to them? I don't know. Maybe they are whichever place that they're in. And the other bit is like, there's this part where we also assume seniority, right? This is Frank, he has white hair, he gives talks at conferences, he's definitely a senior. Hello, maybe I do not even know how to write a Hello World application. Why are you assuming I'm a senior? And these are like things that we do on like a daily basis. The other one is SAE, which is like an acronym for subtle acts of exclusion. And these subtle acts of exclusion are based on age. So we have these people, they're either too young or too old, and we are like, no, we are not going to hang out with these people. They don't look cool enough. And this is within the team. Gender is another one. Yeah, but these guys are like this, or these ladies are like this, let's ignore them. The other bit is race. It's a hot topic. People talk about it. I think we are well versed on this one. Let me go to the next one, and ETC. So think about all those things that people do to like ignore people. And what are the effects of this, of all of these teams? So I said like subtle acts is one of the consequences. The other bits that you have within teams is, as a result of mocktails and all these cocktails that exist, is that you have low commitment levels. So people are not like there. It's like, I just do my work, I do the bare minimum so that I get on. And it's usually like a form of slow quitting or slow quitting slowly by slowly when you want to leave the company. There are some people who actually do that. And this is where you look at what someone has done and you actually know the amount of effort that this person can put, but they are not there. They don't challenge things. They're just, I'll just do the bare minimum, get on, and that's it. Of course, the question that someone would ask me is, yeah, but Frank, I'm being paid to do these exact things. Why should I do more? Then there's low engagement levels. We have a problem, we are solving, we are maybe pairing or something like that, but there's no like challenging. Why can't I challenge? Is because I'm afraid to break or disrupt the flow that we have within the team. If I ask this question, if I challenge this senior, if I challenge this guy, they're going to get offended, and because they're going to get offended, let me not do it, okay? Then, so with all of these things, right? You have your mocktail, you have your cocktail. I don't know how many of you, okay, when you leave here, maybe try and do this experiment where you take a mocktail, put it in a cup or in a glass or whatever, and let it stay there for 3 months. Good experiment, right? Don't put it in a freezer, fridge, nothing. Put it there. I will challenge you if you're in the northern hemisphere where you have summer, winter, autumn. Leave it there now during summer. Open it up during winter. In fact, open it up in your house. Close yourself inside, open it. Because you want to enjoy that beautiful mocktail that you bought during summertime. It will be okay, right? I mean, it was fresh 3 months ago. Why would it be bad after 3 months, right? Or 6 months. So the thing is that you'll find that either you will not be able to sustain it, there'll be a lot of smell there. But the thing is like, it's not about you per se, how you achieve it. Because most of the time in teams, we forget that it's not only just about yourself. You're playing and working with different other people who are performing specific tasks within the team. And you need everyone to work in this collective way so that all of us get to solve something, because you're going for a bigger goal that is bigger than you. And if you achieve this bigger goal, as a result, you also achieve the goals that you want to achieve. So it's not only about you, but it is how do you achieve balance, right? The thing is that it actually starts with you. Why does it start with you? So it starts with me, because if I say you now, it looks like, why is he? No, it starts with me. And why do I say this? Yes, you have to keep yourself accountable. So I remember when I joined the team, fresh engineering manager, yes, I'd been a tech lead before, and I knew some certain things. The truth is you have to admit to yourself that there are some certain things that you do not know, right? Whether you're a senior staff, doesn't matter. There are some certain things that you won't know. And some of the things that you will not know is people. Anyone here, how many people here, by the way, by a show of hands, are engineering managers, people managers for that matter? Aha, interesting. How many are staff engineers? Individual contributors? Interesting. Okay, senior engineers? You guys are the ones thinking of getting into management, yeah? No, it is fun. Trust me, it's fun. But you're dealing with people, right? So you have to keep yourself accountable. How do you keep yourself accountable? It would be strange if you think that you're the perfect person on earth. Because you're not, you have your flaws. And you have not only your major weaknesses that you have blind sides. There are things that you think you're good at, but in essence, someone can tell you like, yes, Frank, here you're lacking. So I remember for me, what I quickly did was I said, okay, who am I with? I'm with this team, and I have my manager on top, so what do? I have to keep myself accountable to them. I have to ask these questions. I have to ask them, how am I solving this? What are the things that I'm doing wrong? You have to tell me, give me this feedback. And I do not wait for feedback cycles. In our one-on-ones, I apportion time where I can ask them like, hey, are there things that I'm doing that are actually wrong that I can improve on? Are there things that I'm doing towards you or the team that you can actually tell me this? And they quickly start to like test you first of all, But then you have to keep them accountable. After they give me the feedback, it's bad. Of course, you feel so bad. But you have to tell them like, okay, I have noted these things down, and I'm going to work on this, and please, let's confirm again. In a couple of weeks' time, you keep back and ask, hey, did I do this thing well? Am I improving on this area? Or is there something that I need to correct? And with accountability, if I say this, how many of us have ever used this word and said, I'm not filling the gap? I'm not X, I'm not Y, I do not do this, I don't do that. But the truth is, have you actually ever verified that you actually don't do that? Question for you. So, the other bit is communication. It's a very big topic. And communication, if you realize, it's not one-way traffic. If you sit with someone and you're the only one talking, but you're not getting the feedback from them, then there's usually like gets to this point where things don't start to make sense, because then you're either doing too much of the talking and little of the listening. But if you look at our head, right? If you look at your head, you only have one mouth. Your brain is 2, your eyes are 2, your nostrils 2, your ears are 2, but the mouth is 1, the tongue is 1. The funny thing is that most people will do a lot of the talking and little of the listening and observation. But why are they 2 then? Why not be given 1 ear or 1 eye, or something like that, right? So with the bits of communication, you actually have to ask it. And communication comes in different levels, right? There is the active one, there's the passive one. You can also be like forthwith in like going to seek it and saying, hey, can we have a talk about this? Because I want to understand this. And it's also how you phrase your questions. For example, one of the first things I quickly learned is, if you're in a team that feels very toxic, drop the use of the word why. Because why feels very threatening. It's like you're asking someone, you're really criticizing on their character. A good example of this would be, why did you send this PR? Why would you write code like this? You're attacking the person. How do you rephrase it? Hey, what was your mental model when you're submitting this? That's one way of phrasing it, right? What ideas are you trying to send in this PR? Can we have a discussion about it? But if you go with why, the person almost certainly, even if it is you right now, if someone comes with a why, you get defensive, you close up, and it's like, I'm done. I'm not going to contribute to this. So the other bit with communication, or all of these things, when you're in a team and then you see like, hey, I'm noticing that here we are having imbalance. It's either we are leaning towards a mocktail side or too much of a cocktail side. We want to have a mix. So when you see these things, what are the things you can do? So first thing is that always know that everyone has a good intention. It will shock you the number of times when I moved to Berlin and like when I started interacting with most people at workplaces, different workplaces, is that you quickly realize that sometimes people just don't know and they're acting out because according to the knowledge that they have, this is the right thing to do. And if you assume good intention when you're going to have a conversation with anyone, no matter how hard it is, no matter how controversial that topic is, no matter how angry you are with the topic, but you go with like, okay, they have good intention, this is why they were doing this, you always come up to the best results at the end. Then, best thing to do is pause whatever thing is going on. If you're in a session and things are happening weirdly, like, hey guys, can we pause and discuss about the fact that, hey, we are ignoring this person's comment. Hey, I've noticed like you're not speaking up. Hey, I've noticed in the last 2 times that we've been assigning tasks, we've been deliberately excluding this individual. Hey, are you comfortable with speaking up? I know you have good ideas. Why we are interested in listening to whatever thing you have to say. The next thing is explain why you're actually stopping. Now, when you explain why, it's like, hey, I feel like this is this. But don't use the big terms. Don't say, hey, I've noticed microaggression. No. Break it down into the specifics. Like I've noticed the last couple of times we've ignored this person, we've not assigned this kind of tasks to them. Hey, do you think you're in a good position for you to step up and start taking up these higher levels of responsibilities? The other thing is also notice most of the time when people are acting, this is a habit that they've formed. And for you to unwire that, it's going to take a very long term of efforts of like, I'm going to talk about it once. In the next retro, I'm going to raise it. 2 times people will be like, okay, he's actually said something now. Okay, now we need to act on this. Do not lose hope. You have to put in the patience to an extent. But of course, you have to realize also when do you stop. That I have to say. The other bit is what if you're affected? You're affected by any of this toxicity. You're affected by either being in a team that you feel like this is a little bit tricky. I'm feeling very bad. What do you do? Apart from leaving the company or the team, apart from. If you're a manager, staff, senior, and someone tells you this, the first thing you need to acknowledge, hey, thank you for giving me the feedback. Of course, it is hurtful when someone comes and tells you you're doing this negative thing. But the first thing you have to do is that you have to actually acknowledge it. If you do not acknowledge that, hey, this is what you've said, and most of the time, if you repeat it to them and even ask clarifying questions, it is actually really nice. Avoid saying, but. That word is, replace but with and. And most of the time, it's like someone is telling you, yes, I've noticed when you schedule the meetings, they always boil over. Why can't we stick to a specific time? Of course, you have justification as to why those meetings are boiling over. You don't need to use the word but you guys are the ones who come late. But you guys are the ones who have all these new ideas. Most of the time, just acknowledging that feedback is the first step in you moving towards a point where everyone now starts to say, like, okay, he's actually making sense. He actually listens, or she actually listens. Reason being, the first thing that most of the time when people leave their managers, it's because they usually feel like they were not heard. They were complaining about so many things for a very long time, and this person was not listening to them. The other bit is have empathy. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. If you're at their level and you have a manager and you came and said this, or this and this is happening, how would you want them to treat you? So that's very important for you to do that. The other bit is also be genuinely curious. And being curious is, they come with feedback to you. Like, hey, these 5 things were happening. And I feel like this is something that is deeply affecting me. And you have no idea about it, or you do not know more. Genuinely ask, hey, please explain it to me more. Give me more examples. How do you think? And even can go to an extent of being curious enough to think of solutions. You can even start to think of solutions with them. You don't provide the solution immediately. You could be like, yeah, okay, give me possible solutions. Because 90% of the time, when you come with they come with a problem, they either have an idea of how to solve it, or they want to get into this mode of being collaborative in solving the problem. So they do not want you to be it's like this alpha of solving all the problems for them. But most of the time that I've come to learn, even in the organization, is that bit of removing roadblocks, removing or preventing any form of hiccups for the engineers that we work with, usually just involves a simple extra 2 or 3 questions to just ask, what are they thinking of? How do they think we should go ahead, right? So a good example is, let's say you're a team lead or a staff, and someone comes to you and says, hey, why are you usually so angry with your PR comments whenever I send PRs? Of course, you're wondering, what does this individual mean when they tell me I'm angry in my comments? But again, if you think again, you have to first of all acknowledge it. How do you acknowledge it? Okay, thank you for telling me that I'm angry. Actually repeat the things they've said, that I'm angry when I give comments in my pull requests. Okay, empathetic, put yourself in their shoes. If you are a junior in the team and there's a staff engineer there and you're talking to them, would you want them to dismiss you and tell you, yeah, be whatever about it? Buckle up, When I was your age, when I started out in programming, people were really harsh towards me. Come on. But you are not my age. It was a different setup at that time. You probably started coding when there were no laptops or computers at that time. I just started, so what is going on, So be curious, ask them. What do you mean by this? When you're being curious, you actually get to draw out a lot of information. 90% of the time, what I've realized, when everyone comes to you with a problem and they want you to solve them, or they are raising a concern, they're very afraid in how they want to display the information, especially now that we're in an age where people do not want to offend each other. So they're wondering, okay, how do I phrase this? How do I tell Frank that, hey, I'm not comfortable with you doing this, without him perceiving that I'm actually talking about him with regards to his color or color of his skin or whatever? How do I address this with him? How do I address the fact that he's being late towards this meetings or whatever and scheduling them, and they look so weird? How do I tell him that he's not organized where he doesn't take it personally? Okay? You actually just ask follow-up questions. Then the last thing is follow-up. You make a commitment. You say, hey, I am actually, it's good that you've actually told me this. Can we follow up in a couple of weeks to check the status of this thing? Maybe it is a thing that you guys need to work on. And you actually put it down somewhere. One of the things I quickly noticed when I started this whole management stuff, from team lead actually, was to keep like a journal or a track of like what each other person in the team was like thinking about or like saying. So then I'd have like personas for all the engineers in the team. Then I'd trickle down to a level where I know like, okay, this is the team's personality. I do that still today, where I know the personality of my team is like this. It's a collated thing where you'll see 1, 2, 3, 5 people are the same. And normally what I try and do whenever I'm hiring, I bring someone who does not fit this mold, but is going to either improve the team as it is. So whenever you do these things, you follow up after some time. You're like, hey, we talked about this 3 weeks ago. Sometimes they've forgotten it, or you told me this 3 weeks ago. We made a commitment for me to do this. Do you think I've made progress or not? Are there things that we need to change into what I've been doing? And they actually tell you at that time, they're like, yeah, I've seen you've made this and this and this improvements, but I feel like we can also add this. Or like, no, everything is fine like right now. That doesn't mean it ends. Ask it the next time. Why? It's good for you to get to a point where you're actually sure that they told you not once, but twice. Because at that time that they're speaking, they can be speaking based on like different experiences or different things that are going on in their lives. Now, last and not least, I leave this here because I've come to the end of the solution. Now, out of this, these are like some of the resources. I remember when I joined, started being an engineering manager, people who are in middle management will tell you the truth. It's hard for you to get like some certain levels of resources that are actually going to improve you. I love to read. I really love to read. Spend a lot of my time reading, like buy books and read them. If you read like all of them, the last one, Super Communicators, it came out this year. I would say it's actually a good read, very easy read for you. You can read it and like it gives also points out to like different research places and different like magazines and articles that are actually like briefed and put there. It's actually really good. Subtle Acts of Exclusion is very interesting. It actually tells you like there's some certain things that you might be doing and it's actually a microaggression, and you're actually a microaggressor, and you're like, well, I thought I am actually perfect. What is this thing that this person is talking about? Yeah. Of course, the whole topics of diversity and inclusion, all of those things, I usually feel like most of them, you just need a little bit level of education, because I'll tell you the truth. When I moved and started my new role, I was given this team of different people, different genders, and everyone is there. And everyone religion is different, age is different, and even their marital statuses are different. And we have people with very strong beliefs. And some of them would start to talk about some certain topics in front of everyone. And you have to be very careful that you might say some statement like, I'll give you an example. One person wants to have kids or has a family, the other one does not like to have kids. And then the other one says, oh my God, why would you ever want to have kids? That's already an offensive statement to someone else who has kids, right? So how do you like create this balance where people are able to like feel free, but at the same time, you don't offend each other? And you read like all of this stuff to do with the super communicators, subtle acts of exclusion, and other books. But I'll tell you the truth, one of the best resources that I've had till date has been my team. Why do I say that? It's because I actively go to them and I ask them. I do my own personal temperature check. You have one-on-ones with them, you have coffees with them, you hang out with them. It's just one question that you want to know, and you just get an answer. And sometimes you just like fish them out, sometimes you just like continually ask them, and you actually get good over time, because they are the best resource that you can ever have, because at the end of it all, you're leading them, right? Or you're managing them, or you're interacting with them on a daily basis. And they can actually tell you, Frank, you're very like, very laid back, or Frank, you're too casual. What do you mean by I'm too casual? And then they tell you this. Highly likely you'll not get it from a book, but they can actually directly tell you that. And with that, I come to the end of my talk. If there's anyone with any questions, feel free to ask me.